Good evening and welcome back to Old Line State Politics. It's me, your host, Jason Craig, back here with another live stream. It has been a long time, and it's been a long summer. I'm sure everyone has had a good break from school if you go to school, and just had a good wind down from the winter. But now that we're back in the fall season, we're coming closer and closer to the 2024 election cycle, and we're starting to get into the crazy of the crazies in these next few months, coming into the 2023 gubernatorial cycles and the 2024 election cycles. So starting off with tonight, we have a guest joining us, Conservative American Predictions. We're glad to have him on here, and he is a very good YouTuber. He does a lot of good content. He's a friend of mine, and so I just let him say some things here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here. Great to see McCarthy gone. He's a rhino. He sucks. And hopefully Byron Donalds, he's the next speaker.
Yeah, well, I totally agree, but let's hold on with that topic. We're gonna do the introduction, then get into there. So first off, let's recap on where my channel has been and what I've been doing. So recently, I made a few major steps into what I would like to consider a future political career for me, and I have been working with my local Republican Party in my county. And we have been doing a lot of stuff to get ready for 2024. We've raised over $2,000 in the past 2 months to get ready for the 2024 election cycles, to help Donald Trump get reelected and put him back in the White House, to win down ballot Republicans all across our state and in our county. And we are the leading Republican club in Carroll County and the surrounding areas. So we're doing a lot of good. And my district, I'm the Manchester District Director for the TDRC, the Tri-District Republican Club. And my goal is to get as many people with our club so we can raise funds, have candidates at our forums, talk to them, get to know them, and hopefully elect them. That's our goal ultimately, is to elect them to the offices. But it's really just a good way to get involved with politics, get into politics, know the politicians, get them elected, know what their values and principles are. And it's just, you have a lot of fun doing it, but ultimately it's for the better and the good of our state and our nation. So moving forward to our channel, I launched a second channel. It's more of a more personal channel. It's called Jason Craig, Carroll County, Maryland, and you guys can check that out. I'll link it in the description later after the stream. But that is going to be where I will post more of my personal videos, where I will talk a little bit more about my stuff with the club. We'll still be posting on this channel, Old Line State Politics, but we're going to move a couple of some of my content over to that channel. So if you haven't already, make sure you go and subscribe to that second channel. Now, moving on, our channel will be we'll start posting again. This is the first live stream in a few months. It's been a while, but we're going to be coming back on top and really getting back into the swing of things. So stay tuned for that. So as you can see on your screen now, we have the headline from the New York Times: Kevin McCarthy was ousted as House Speaker. So, a lot has happened within the last 2 weeks with the whole government shutdown and trying to get the debt ceiling passed and the CR. Now, we're here tonight with no Speaker of the House. The House is the Speaker of the House is vacant. The House is in recess, and no legislation can be passed. No legislation can be passed in the House. Therefore, the Senate cannot propose anything and get that passed. And pretty much it's in a total halt. Now, our government won't shut down until November. We have 45 days as of, I think, Saturday. But other than that, there is nothing that is going to be going on until we elect a new speaker. Now, Kevin McCarthy is the first speaker ever in American history to be ousted, is to be fired by a majority, a plurality vote in the Speaker of the House, a Republican-led House. The vote was 216 to 210 in a vote, and it was the first ballot the first proposed motion by Representative Matt Gaetz as of yesterday, putting the motion to vacate the speakership, the chair, and it passed. It passed, you know, remarkably with a six lead vote, 216 to 210. It's quite remarkable that this is the first time in history that this has ever happened, and this will go down in the history books. But the main thing that will go down now is the fact and the reason behind Representative Kevin McCarthy. He's not the speaker anymore, so I'm not going to give him that title. Representative McCarthy, what pushed the Republican Party and these, what the left would like to call them, radical eight, these radical eight, to vote to oust him, to fire him, to remove him from the speakership. The reason why they were driven to do this, and why Matt Gaetz was led to do this, was multiple reasons. One, the Republican conference back in January, when they sat down with McCarthy, told him, "Hey, in order for us to get you elected to speakership, we need you to follow these criteria. So we need you to follow through with these few principles." And he said, "Okay." And the Freedom Caucus and the what the left would call the radical extreme Republicans pushed many different things for McCarthy to do, and he promised in his speech, in his acceptance speech to Congress in January, he promised key things that he was going to get done as speaker, and he's fallen short on those promises. But the last thing, the last straw between these eight, and especially Representative Gaetz and the now former Speaker McCarthy, was the fact that he had a secret meeting with Biden and the Democrats to pass legislation, a bill to keep the government open, and to keep funding Ukraine. And that is when the last straw happened. The day after, yesterday, a few days after, Matt Gaetz called a motion to vacate the speakership, and it passed. So that's basically the outline of it. I don't want to be rambling on for this whole time and not let our guests speak, but that is basically the meat of it. And I'm going to let Conservative American Predictions give his take on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I never liked McCarthy since he got in. It was great that people tried to prevent him from getting in the first place, and it's even better that he's gone now. And I'm not a massive fan of Gates in the first place because he's too libertarian for me. But him doing this is good, and it definitely gives me a higher, I guess you could say, favorability rating of him. I like him a little bit more for this. At least he stood up to this, and people calling him attention grabbers, whatever. I mean, he did what he thought was right. He did what was right, and in the long run, this is definitely going to help, especially if we get someone in like Byron Donalds or even Kevin Hearn.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And it's something that needed to be done. I'm not a huge Gates guy as well. I don't necessarily support him to the T, but I like a lot of his principles. And surprisingly, he stood up against McCarthy being bold. A lot of people, I guarantee you, a lot of people probably thought the same way, but they were too scared to stand up and to lose their seat. But Matt Gaetz, he had the gut to stand up to the speaker, to call him out on things. I should say the former speaker, excuse me there. He had the gut to talk to the former speaker that way, call him out, stand up for the rights and the principles as a representative representing his people, his constituents in his district, which is a very, very good thing, because a lot of these representatives, especially on the Republican side, a lot of these people pander to the moderate base because they know that they're the ones who get them elected, or they're going to be the ones who can get them reelected. When the fact is that you gotta show your colors. You can't beat around the bush, run on these issues, and never talk about them or do it. Matt Gaetz stood up for that, and I'm proud and I'm happy that he did. And looking forward for the next speaker, I can't wait to see what we have. We have excellent people lining up for it. Well, most of them are excellent people lining up for it. And one of them is my buddy Byron Donalds, who I think would do amazing. He ran against McCarthy in January, and now we have a second time to try this out. And I think it's time we give Donalds a shot.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Donalds would by far probably be the best speaker we've had in U.S. history, if not since the more recent or the beginnings of our country's history. Because recently we've had people like Boner, Pelosi, McCarthy, all the liberals. They're just very establishment, and you know.
Well, yeah, no one has stood up for anything. We had Paul Ryan when Donald Trump got elected and he took office in January of 2017. He didn't work with Trump. We had a massive majority in the House of Representatives. What was it? 235 seats, 240 some seats, if I recall correctly. And what did we get done? Nothing. Nothing got done. And the same thing has happened uh with former Representative former Speaker McCarthy, and it's continued. These establishment Republicans who are all talk, no action, wolf in sheep's clothing, stand around, show their smiling faces, be in this bright suit, have this great, put on this great show and great act, and muster up to be this great guy. They get elected, they get in there, and what do? They fall short time and time again. And it's time we change that. We got to drain the swamp, and we got to fix these issues for the American people. Us, we the people, the citizens of the country, not the politicians. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
it's unfair that 435 people get to do whatever they want just because they're elected, and then they get to do whatever they want, not what their constituents want, not what the people deserve. They just go up there and they vote to line their own pockets and to increase their own personal wealth. They don't vote to, protect the workers, protect the unborn. They don't do any of that stuff. They do everything they do, a majority of them, to help themselves, help what they think is in their best interest, not their constituents, and that's a massive problem we have in politics, not only in just America but around the world.
Yeah, and it's sad that it's happened mainly in America. And I think it's time we stop electing speakers from California.
Yeah,
We failed with Pelosi. I mean, she's a Democrat, and then we thought that someone next door neighbor to her, a Republican, so called, is any better. I mean, come on, people, let's get smart. The Democrats can unite around each other because they all share the same horrible principles, which is destroy America and make it a living hell for Americans and the people in the United States. We as the Republican Party can't even get along with our own people in Congress in our majority because we have these pandering woke you know these pandering woke
the corporate elite,
moderates
corporate
who
elite,
just
the
who just
corporate
work
elitists are
for
backed
the
by like
elite and the establishment. And it's time we get these true patriots elected.
exactly all we have now is a majority of corporate backed, billionaire backed elitists who think that they can just do whatever they want for themselves. And in the past, that's worked for them because people haven't stood up to them. And I think that it's finally time that we do. It's definitely past time that we do, and it's time that we actually try to get something done.
Oh, definitely. And I am sick and tired of the Republican Party and mainly the people who are in charge of the Republican Party. They always say, "Get me elected, get me elected. If you just vote us in, we will fix these issues." We get them elected, and what happens? Nothing. Every single time we do this, it happened in 2010, it happened in 2012, it happened in 2014, happened in 16, happened in 18, happened in 20, and now 22. And what has happened? Failed policies from failed politicians every single time.
I mean, not only have they just done nothing, if anything, they've taken us back further because, with 2016, because Paul Ryan was such an idiot, he couldn't get anything done. So you wonder why Democrats like did so well in 2018. It's everyone's like all the rhinos. They're like, oh, it was Trump. No, it wasn't. It was the failed policies of the center right and these rhinos who thought they could just do whatever they want. And then oh, so what if a few people lose? No, we lost our majority by a massive margin. And yeah, on the Senate level, we did better. Well, yeah, duh, it was like safe red seats. But still, the fact that these people over and over again, they take us backwards, they take us backwards. They don't care. All they want to do is protect themselves, protect their own personal interests. They don't care about the American people. So why do we keep electing them? And another problem is, like Old Line said, they keep saying, elect me, elect me. Don't talk about electing yourself. Talk about what you do if you're elected. You don't have to say elect me and then talk about your promises. say, I will do this, and then actually go through with it, and then people will vote for you. Don't just say that you'll do it.
Oh, I completely agree. The fact that what always scares me is when these politicians say, hey, first of all, elect me, and then hear what I have to say about what I'm going to do. No, tell me what you're going to do. And then if I like it, then be like, hey, if you agree with me, would you mind giving me your vote? Try that instead. Stop pandering to the woke elites. These people who just funnel money into their pockets when they get elected. It's really sad that I really had hope in Kevin McCarthy. I mean, I knew that he wasn't going to be as good and conservative as I thought he would, that I would like him to be, but I at least thought he would have held up his end of the bargain, and that maybe with after the 15th ballot in January, it might have woken him up and say, hey, maybe I should do what I promised I would do so I can stay in power and be the speaker and get along with the Republicans. But no, that wasn't good enough. He
Well,
had
I
to
mean,
go behind our backs, talk with the president and the Democrats, and make secret bills to get it passed and pander to them. Because why? Because he's got money in Ukraine, he's got money uh, in all these areas, and they probably have dirt on him. So it's just the same people in power lying and cheating and stealing and driving our nation into a a crap hole, a dump hole, third world country. They've been trying to do this for years, and it's just progressing and progressing and progressing, and now we are where we are today.
I mean, from the beginning, I basically had no faith in McCarthy because when people like, Duarte, Valadeo, Lawler, especially people like Fitzpatrick, when they were backing him so hard back in January, that's when I knew, oh no, this man's not going to be effective. When you have people like those, probably the worst Republican voting records in the House, along with people like Nancy Mace, you know, when they back someone like that, they're not going to be effective. They're just going to be pushovers who don't do anything, and now what's happened? Conservative Republicans have shown that if someone is a pushover, they're going to push them right over and they're going to do something about it. I mean, if we can keep doing stuff like this, if the conservative wing of the Republican Party can actually, make a comeback and actually do the important things that we have to do, like get rid of all these establishment people, the losers who are driving us backwards, who aren't letting, America advance and get better and do the things we have to do to protect our people. It's insane. I mean, McCarthy literally he wouldn't have, there was a poll that showed, a majority of polls that showed, if the government shut down, Biden and the Democrats would have been blamed for it. The Republicans would not have been blamed for it because it was the Democrats doing. I mean, Democrats have the Senate, we have a narrow majority in the House, but they also have the presidency. I mean, it's stupid to think that, oh, just because McCarthy did that, it averted a whole, oh, Republicans are dumb. No, Republicans are dumb now because he caved into the Democrats. He funded Ukraine. He did more of this bull crap that isn't going to get us anywhere. Yeah, sure, it's going to help Ukraine. But what does that matter in the long run? It's not America. We need to focus on America, and people like Kevin McCarthy and the establishment losers will not do that.
No, you're absolutely right. And the thing is that if we send someone to represent us, I want you to represent us and I want you to fight for us. I don't want you to stand back and pander to the weak establishment. And what you said, we need to start taking back. We need the conservative wing of the Republican Party to start taking back. We need to get rid of these rhinos. They are rhinos. So don't call me out and say to me, "Oh, you're just one of them Trumpy guys." All that type of stuff. I don't want to hear it. They are rhinos. They don't stand up for America. They don't stand up for the Republican Party. They don't stand up for you and me. And the thing is that they need to go. And starting off with this and a historic, something that's never happened in American history, the first time ever that we've ever fired a speaker from the House, not resigning, firing. We fired him, and that is something that is historic, and that is something that will go down in history, which is crazy. But the thing is that it only takes 8 people. It only takes 8 people to do that. What do you think it would take if we got majority of the Republican Party on board?
Even if we got up, like 30, 40, even 50 members, these people like the Freedom Caucus, a lot of these fake people in the Freedom Caucus, Lauren Boebert, MTG, they aren't gonna do crap anymore. But if we actually get real conservatives in there, more people like Byron Donalds, even though he didn't vote for it today, but more people like Byron Donalds and Ronnie Jackson, these actual conservatives. If we would get more like that, and people would actually be able to be getting on board with it, that would be good. I think why Byron Donalds and all them didn't vote for it. I think they actually understood that, especially Byron Donalds, that it would probably be a losing battle for them to vote for it, because Byron Donalds probably understood that he would become there's a good chance he becomes speaker if he made himself appear like he was at least not anti McCarthy for this. That way he could get some like uh you know just normal Republicans on board with his speakership run. And I mean, I still wish he would have voted for it, but if we could just get more conservatives in the House, if we could actually get people who care, that would be good. And I wish we could have the same thing that we did to McCarthy. I wish we could do that to other representatives, other senators. Why can't we just fire Mitch McConnell? Why can't we fire all these, loser Republicans, all these loser Democrats, the people who don't care about us? All they want to do, help themselves, help their pockets, make them richer, and they don't care if it hurts, other Americans. They don't care if it hurts their own constituents. All they care about is themselves.
Yeah, you're completely right, and it's time when Donald Trump gets back in the White House in 2025, all hell is going to break loose, and we're going to see the biggest gutting of the American political corruption. We're going to see everything. The walls will be crumbling down, and we will watch the biggest American revolution for an American presidential administration in history. And this next administration will go down as probably one of the best, if not the best, presidential administration. It's going to be crazy to watch. And this leads me to my next topic that I want to be talking about tonight, which is the 2024 presidential election. We have we are winning in the generic polling between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. A sitting president has a disapproval rating that is very, very high. And the former president who has been indicted 4 times over bogus claims, being on trial right now for another bogus claim, been impeached twice by the same corrupt politicians, is leading the sitting president by 1.2 points average. And there was a poll that came out about a week ago that had Donald Trump. Now, I don't trust polls, but a poll that had Joe Biden winning Wisconsin by 17 points back in 2020. The same poll has Trump beating Biden by 10 points. That's pretty crazy. And the fact that, all these people are going after Donald Trump, saying, all these bogus claims that he's a fraud, he's a liar, he's a cheater, he should be in jail. The fact that all these people are going after him makes me more and more enthusiastic to support Donald Trump for president in 2024, because the thing is, something that someone told me a long time ago: if the whole world hates you, you must be doing something right most of the time. And the thing is that if most of everyone who's against you is corrupt, has things against him, they're all from the same freaking political party, it just makes you wonder, this is probably this guy you want to support for president, right? So yeah, I'm supporting my man Trump in 2024. I've always supported him, and this just goes to make it more and more obvious that Trump has a better shot of winning now than he did in 2016. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I haven't fully made up my mind who I'm going to support in 2024, because I'm not saying like a challenger in the Republican primary. And if it comes down to Biden versus Trump, of course I'm going to go for Trump. But if you do see someone like Robert Kennedy run for president, and if Trump does continue on some of his more socially liberal stances that I'm not thrilled with, then I might consider Kennedy. But as of now, I don't know. Again, if it comes down to Trump and Biden, 100%, 110% Trump. But I do wish he would be more conservative on the social issues.
I'm kind of torn. I see what you're saying on there. I think we align pretty much equal on, religious and conservative values. But the thing is that how I look at it is no one is going to represent you perfectly. And we kind of have to understand that. And in my opinion, and this is just my humble opinion, I saw what the Trump presidency did. I saw what he could have done, but most importantly, what he can do is what I'm looking at. And I know everyone has every candidate in the Republican field has the potential to do what Trump did or will do or says he'll do. But the thing is that does their track record really add up to that? The fact that they're challenging him, and saying that they're going to change this and this, doesn't that make you wonder, well, are you actually even going to do what Trump did or going to try to do what Trump says he's going to do? It's just that logic. And, I saw the Trump presidency firsthand. I was alive during it. I saw the end of it too when the Democrats screwed him out of his last 2 years with their witch hunts and their indictments and their bogus claims and their majority in the House of Representatives. I saw the tail end of it. And even during that, every single day being attacked by people in Congress, by people in his own party, by the media, by people in the White House and his cabinet, even being criticized, he still was able to get so much accomplished in just 4 years. So that to me just says enough, and that's why I'm supporting him again.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, a lot of what he's done, his economic stuff, it's awesome. His domestic issue stuff, I do like. His his foreign policy, I like too. I mean, he has been a little too pro Ukraine recently, but still, he overall is good. I mean, I'm still kind of torn between him and Kennedy because I do feel like Kennedy this year does kind of represent what Trump was in 2016, the more outsider candidate. And again, any day I will take Trump over Biden if it comes down to like a really close election. I just haven't fully made up my mind between Trump and Kennedy. If Trump continues down the whole path of being like more socially liberal, if he comes out and says anything else stupid about abortion, I have a good chance of supporting Kennedy. But if Kennedy does something stupid, I'll support Trump. And I mean, if Trump does something good regarding social issues, I'll be more likely to support him. It I it just comes down to more stuff like that.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from it, and I agree with you for the most part. I like a lot of what Robert Kennedy Jr. has to say. I agree with him on a lot of the COVID issues, which is, he's very, very good on what he has to say about that. And, he is a more he's a more like you said, and he's the outside candidate. And I'm very curious to see what happens if he does run as an independent in 2024. Does it take away from Trump or does it take away from Biden? I think there's a mixture, but I think it takes away more from Biden. And if that's the case, it will definitely help Trump to the White House, in my opinion.
So I think it actually splits about evenly because the people that I see going to Kennedy on the Republican side are very conservative people who might feel, you know, not exactly thrilled with Trump for his recent social statements. Someone like me, also more populist people, they feel like Trump is maybe he's caving a little bit, like on the whole Ukraine stuff. The more isolationist people who feel like Kennedy would do better. Again, possibly me, not necessarily though. And then I think the moderate Republicans are going to stay with Biden because like these whole McCain Republicans, they're not going to vote for Kennedy. Kennedy is literally the exact opposite of a McCain Republican. I mean, McCain Republicans are these, pro NAFTA, pro free trade losers who are also like extremely socially liberal. That's basically the opposite of Kennedy. On the Democrat side, though, I think he pulls uh, the anti-establishment, the more populist Democrats, and also conservative Democrats, the ones who are socially conservative but then populist. I think he gets them. And in the long run, I think Trump is more positively affected by third party candidates. So because you're most likely going to see the Green Party with West. He's probably going to take. a good deal of votes from the far left Bernie bro wing of the party. He probably up to 3 to 5%, and then Kennedy probably takes 5 to 10% of the vote. And then if we see, I don't know if Kennedy is for sure running libertarian or if he's running just independent. If we see another libertarian run, he could take up to 3% of the vote too. So it really just comes down to how far right or how far left the candidates run, the third party candidates, depending on like whose support they take. Like if Kennedy runs a like further right campaign, then I think that he does a whole lot better. If he runs a further left campaign, he probably wins some of the Colonel West voters. But in the long run, that's going to hurt him more and make more people like me more likely to support Trump over him. So again, it really just depends on how far right or how far left they run.
Yeah, I see where you're saying and coming from. Um, the next thing I wanted to talk about was the just briefly was the second GOP debate between the loser Rhino candidates who are running for president. Now, not all, now I'm gonna say one or two of them aren't necessarily rhinos, but
I
the
think
fact that they're challenging Trump is very interesting. Now the fact that Donald Trump has now that we've seen a poll that has him at 52% against the secondary challenger Ron DeSantis, that is crazy if you think about it. The fact that he wasn't even able to do this in 2016. Now he was an outsider. He didn't have the name he had. But no, I don't think there has ever been any sitting Republican president, well, any Republican who has ever ran for president in a primary that has had a massive lead this big. And the fact is, he's not even the sitting president, which makes it even better, even funnier to these rhino candidates. Now, talking about the debate, if any of you watched it, it was the most biased debate I have ever seen. It was the worst performance from many, many candidates, and the moderators absolutely sucked. They were terrible, terrible moderators. I don't even think one of them was from Fox Business. I think there was like what, some foreign lady they probably found at the
yeah,
border,
it was some
and
it was some Jamaican lady.
yeah, they probably pulled her out from from the border at Texas and shoved her in a pretty dress and put her on live television with a script. The fact that we have these people in the media running our GOP debates is absolutely insane. And another reason why Donald Trump isn't participating in it. And the fact that the former president, who is leading the Republican primary, didn't even show up to a debate and won the debate. That is impressive, and I gotta give the guy a round of applause for that. I mean, come on. I mean, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, so in my opinion, there's only one person other than Trump running for president who's actually good on the issues. He's just running a very flawed campaign. That's Ron DeSantis. Everyone who says that Vivek is good, I don't buy that crap. He seems like a fake. All he wants is a position with Trump. Also, as a Christian, I will not support anyone who is not a Christian because I cannot trust them to do what God wants them to do and and do what's best for the country. So that's part of the reason I won't support Vivek. But I think DeSantis is a great governor, quite possibly the greatest governor in the country right now. But he's running a very flawed campaign. He should not have ran. He messed up with that. And if he would have ran, he should have announced earlier or run a completely different campaign. DeSantis is not a rhino, but the people he surrounds himself with are rhinos. The people he lets run his campaign are rhinos. That's the problem with DeSantis right now. And that's what's going to hurt his political future. He doesn't understand that right now.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't think that he's a rhino, and like you said, he is probably the best governor in the entire country, no doubt about it. But the thing is that when someone gives you, the former president Donald Trump, he is the only reason why Ron DeSantis became governor of Florida in 2018. If Donald Trump was not president, or if there was any other sitting Republican president during that time, he would not have won. I can guarantee you that. And the other thing is that when you come out and you run against the former president, and criticize him on many issues that you even ran with or ran for in 2018, it's very a very dumb idea, and it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? I would say, condescending
Hypocritical?
maybe.
Hypocritical?
It's hypocritical. That's the right word. It's very hypocritical. And I can't believe that, you know, one of the best, probably one of the best VP picks that prior to him running was Ron DeSantis,
Yeah.
and the fact that he's blown that chance for himself and the rest of America is pretty sad. He should have, if he didn't want to be the VP, or didn't want to get involved with it, wait till 2028. That was my whole thing. I would have had no problem supporting Ron DeSantis in 2028 to carry Donald Trump's coattails. If Donald Trump won in 2024, and even if he didn't, I would not have had any problem supporting Ron DeSantis in 2028. And now those chances, for at least for me, are slim to none.
So, in my opinion, the last thing I'll say before I have to get going, I think that Trump is the main reason DeSantis won in 2018. But I think DeSantis is probably, with Trump's help, he is the reason Florida shifted so far to the right. I don't think that in the first place it would have shifted without Trump, but I think what DeSantis did then as governor did shift it to the right. So I think it's fair to say that both definitely played a part in the shift of Florida. Trump more so in getting the people in there who actually did it than actually doing the things, and that DeSantis actually getting in there and doing it.
Yeah, I agree. And Trump was able to get the people elected, like you just said, to get those things accomplished, to shift it to the right. And we saw in 2020, Florida. Well, in 2016, Florida win for Trump by, what was it, 1.2, and then in
It was
2016,
1.3.
1.3.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in 2020, it went in by 3.4, or almost 3.5. So that's a
Yep.
pretty big shift in just 4 years. You know, so yeah, he was able to get the people elected who could get the things done.
Yeah. Well, it was nice coming on. I don't know if you're ending the stream now or not, but it was great being on.
Well, yeah, well, thank you for joining in. We really appreciate it, and as always, see you next time. Thank you.
Yep. See ya.
See ya. Well, I'm about done with the stream here. I just wanted to talk about the speakership. So for anyone else watching, what are your thoughts about Kevin McCarthy being ousted as speaker? I think it's pretty crazy. At least for me, it's pretty crazy to see or to think that the sitting Speaker of the House of Representatives, or the former sitting Speaker of the House of Representatives, was fired by the same party um, because of dealings with the Democrat or the opposite political party and the sitting president. And it's crazy to think that just 8 people were able to get that accomplished with the help of all most of the Democrats did vote to oust him, but still those 8 Republicans pushed it to the finish line. And without them, this would have never happened. This would have never been able to be accomplished. And I give all the credit to Matt Gaetz, who stood up against Kevin McCarthy and these rhino Republicans. And quite frankly, um, Kevin McCarthy and the Freedom Caucus and the right wing is the only reason why we've been able to accomplish what we have thus far in this 118th Congress. Without them or the Freedom Caucus or the people fighting for what we've accomplished so far, that would have never happened. We would have been sitting around like we have always been as the GOP when we get in power and not doing anything to solve problems for the American people, which is sad and pathetic. So, anyways, thank you all for watching tonight's debate. Thank you all for chiming in. It's glad to be back. I'm glad to be back and do these with you. We're gonna have some more coming up. We're gonna bring back our podcast, and I'm lining up a few guest speakers coming forward. Don't forget to check out I'm going to talk about the our next speaker for the Tri-District Republican Club of Northern Carroll County. That is Dave Wallace, former Republican candidate for Congress in Maryland's 2nd Congressional District. Dave Wallace, who's a very dear friend of mine and is just an America First patriot. So I recommend that you check him out or read his bio online. And anyways, if you guys can and would support our club, help me out with doing this, and we will see you all later. Have a good night, have a blessed night, and thank you all. So thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.